there is so much depression and despair and fear and anxiety about the state of our world. So much hopelessness for humanity. Just this sense that we can't get it right, that we're damaging our habitat, that we're hurting each other, that this is who we are, that this is our story. But personally, I also feel this huge amount of hope and possibility. And I recognize that in order to move towards those possibilities, we have to feel that sense. We have to know that it's possible to do something different. We have to see it around us. We have to start to feel it. We have to start to experience it. That's the thing that creates a pathway to the possible. And that's my work this week. That's what I'm trying to do, is to share the sense of possibility that came to me over 20 years ago now, and that I've been working on ever since. Now, those global social patterns, the ones causing such fear and anxiety, the ones damaging our planet, the ones turning us against each other, those large scale patterns aren't separate from our lives. And if you're like me, you've felt it in your life. You felt it in your interactions, in your relationships. I've personally felt it most strongly in my economic relationships, in my relationships that use money. And that's what I have dedicated my life to transforming. If we are able to transform the way that we relate to each other, the way that we transact with each other at a root level in local small scale interactions, we'll be able to see what that does. We'll be able to see what patterns that creates. And that's what will create the sense of possibility, the sense that we could actually do something different, that we could actually do something better. And that's what I want to invite you to join me for. That's what I want to invite you to be part of, this experiment to see if something better happens in our world when we align ourselves differently with those we do business with. It's really as simple as that. Those relationships, those transactions between us set the pattern for the systemic results we see. We are consuming resources from around the world, and we're impacting humans and non-human species around the world. And I believe that it's up to us to take some measure of personal responsibility for those impacts that we're having, and to try to structure those economic relationships in ways that have positive impacts. And so we don't have to look out at these systems of global society and see such destruction and have to respond with such fear, because it's reasonable. It's scary, but it doesn't have to be. Something different is possible. That's what I want to invite you to join me in. The sense of possibility, the sense of hope, the sense that we could do this differently. We can and we have to. But it's not a burden. It's just like, hey, we could do this differently. Why don't we do that instead? What happens if we do things differently locally? What happens if we do things differently in our own personal economic relationships, our personal political relationships? What happens when we embody new patterns? That's where the possibility is. Not focused on everything gone wrong and going worse, but just focused on ourselves and what we can do to transform the situation. And I'm not talking about just transform our personal lives. I'm talking about really help, really open up new horizons of possibility in the way that we relate to each other, in the forms that we take in our society, the way that our politics and our economics and our culture merge together to create our social reality. We have agency in this process. We can do something different. We can create a situation where we feel glad and empowered and impactful when we participate in society, not angry and disillusioned and disappointed. I want to invite you to join me in an experiment in changing our sense of what's possible, in changing our sense of what we humans can do when we join together in strong and healthy relationship.